This podcast is brought to you by the School of Advanced Study, University of London.
What we'll do is I'm going to wait, Michael, for another 3 or 4 minutes because I was almost late to this, so we may still get a few other people to turn up. But whilst we're doing this, I can start to give a little bit of an introduction because I believe that we're all being encouraged to tweet about the event today as well, using the hashtag Social Scholar. So please, if you've got your phones with you, don't be afraid to get them out. And I should also say that Matt Philpott does pass on his best wishes to everybody. He apologises that he can't be here this week, but has passed over the responsibility of the chair to me. And for those who don't know you, my name is Henry Irving. I work at IES on the Ministry of Information Project. And it was quite good of him to encourage me to chair Michael's session because we have worked together actually on the Being Human project, and I think we will be finding a bit more about that today. Everyone, I think, will probably know Michael. For those who don't, he is the school's Cultural and Public Engagement Research Fellow, who I believe disparagingly refers to himself as the public engagement person, which is showing his modesty. And today's going to be speaking to us very much about these type of activities, in particular the Being Human Festival, which we're all getting very excited about. So, we are now actually at 1 o'clock, so I'll probably pass you over to Michael. He's going to tell us a bit more.
Okay, thanks Henry. The Being Human Festival, it's all very new actually, and it's grown very, very rapidly from a kind of initial idea that we had last year, and social media has been quite a big part of that. Quite a big part of how the festival's developed and developed an identity. So I just thought I'd say a bit about the campaign that we did for our first year and some of the successes and maybe some of the stuff that didn't work quite so well going through. And actually, it's really good that my colleague Lisa has joined us because she actually did a lot of it. Although she's being a bit modest and not sitting up here at the front. So feel free to stop me and ask any questions that come up along the way. And at the end, if we've got time, I actually wanted to do a little bit of crowdsourcing of ideas, by which I mean stealing of ideas for this year. So as Henry was saying, I'm the Cultural and Public Engagement Research Fellow here in the School of Advanced Study, which basically means that I do the school's public engagement. I manage that to try and find interesting ways to get the research which is going on in the school out into non-academic contexts and particularly engaging in non-academic audiences. I'm also the curator of the Being Human Festival, which, as I was just saying to you, actually involves a bit of curating and quite a lot of running around and doing logistical stuff. So I think last year I was doing everything from serving wine to developing the strategy. So come on in. It's fine.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, see if you can have a chat somewhere. So I thought I'd start off with a few things about myself and about social media. So the first one is that I'm not a social media expert at all. I'm actually still learning how to operate the technology. I've only been on Twitter since 2012. As I already said, I didn't do all of the work by a very long way for Being Human on social media, and that was really me in collaboration with my colleagues in the comms team and lots of other people. And I'm really learning as I go, and part of that is learning from things which sink like a stone on social media, as well as things that kind of take off. So I'll go through some of those things. And as with everything, it's involved a lot of learning from other people's good ideas, and hoping to do a bit of that today as well. So just to give a bit of background about the festival itself, Being Human is the first and still the only national festival of the humanities. It's run by ourselves in SAS in collaboration with the HRC British Academy. And the basic idea behind that is that there's lots of festivals out there which are literature festivals or arts festivals, Increasingly seeing lots of science and even social science festivals, but there hasn't as yet been a kind of coordinated humanities festival, and we're trying to kind of fill that gap. Well, it's one of the last gaps really on the festival map. And the basic idea behind it is to just demystify the humanities a bit and try to kind of lift the veil on some of the really interesting stuff which happens under that rubric. So to say that it's not just a kind of ivory tower, people working on very obscure, complex ideas in the comfort of a university, but to really demonstrate that it's something which is directly applicable to people's everyday lives and the kind of cultural and social life of the country. So I guess to break down that mission a bit further, as I say, it's really about demonstrating, not in a kind of defensive, we're under attack sort of way, which is often how the humanities get into media and sort of public consciousness, the barbarians who are gates and having our funding withdrawal and all the rest of it. But to demonstrate there's actually a lot of vibrant and interesting stuff going on out there. And actually the academics are generally quite creative and quite enthusiastic people who are doing interesting things which generally the public are actually very interested in and find quite inspiring. A bit more in the realm of HE, I think what we're trying to do is to inspire a bit of culture change and to inspire people working in the sector to do public engagement activity and also to try and be quite innovative about it and how they think about it and learn from each other and learn from some of the stuff that we do during the festival. And I think, and this is where maybe it links up with social media, but I think we're trying to really create a new community or a new network of people who are interested in this stuff and who want to learn more about it and who want to kind of feel the kind of strength in numbers in knowing that there's other people out there doing the same things and who are passionate about the same things. So create a new kind of network and community. So in terms of what that looked like last year, there was a very quick turnaround actually from kind of having the idea and getting the funding in place to delivering the festival in November last year. It was big. it was big, and that meant a lot of hard work, but it's great. It's really exciting. So we had 162 events across the country, some of which were here in Sass and in Bloomsbury. And some of which were right up in places like Orkney and right over in Belfast as well, in Northern Ireland. 57 participating universities and also a few non-HEIs, so the British Museum and the Wellcome Collection did something for us. We haven't actually got the official audience figures back as yet, but we're estimating between about 15 and 20,000. Which is pretty good, again, for a first year. And online, I mean, our Twitter followers, I keep having to update this because it keeps going up, but we're just short of 2,000 followers on Twitter. I think that's gone up a bit from the end of the festival, but that's around about where we were. But we had a really big reach online, and the estimate is around about 3 million people engaged with us online, which is, in terms of retweets and messages and all the rest of it. So that's really good, and I think that shows actually how, I'm just comparing those numbers between actual boots on the ground and people who have the capacity to engage with us online. It shows how important actually that social media is to a project like this. The cat picture will become clear as I move through. But just to say a bit about what we were hoping to achieve on social media and maybe what we did. I mean, we're really obviously looking at promoting the festival and getting the word out there about what we're doing. But to me at least, it does come back again to that idea of creating a new community and giving them a space to interact and speak to each other. I think there's a broader aspects of what we're trying to achieve with the festival. This is a really important thing for me. It's also been a really useful space for us on social media to explore the tone and the kind of aesthetic and the identity of the festival, how we present ourselves. Because one of the things doing a festival working primarily with academics, there's a kind of built-in tension between kind of wanting to do something which is fun and exciting and engaging, and at the same time being conscious of accusations of dumbing down and kind of bastardising people's research. So it's been quite useful actually for us to kind of test out different things online and to see whether we're striking the right tone and finding a kind of happy medium between those two. And obviously for a national festival, one of the problems that we're presented with is, you know, we've got 162 events, all of which are happening, sometimes at the same time in very distant geographical places, and we're presented with the problem of how to kind of join that together and create a space in which people can interact and see the festival as one coherent thing, which again that's I guess partly what we're trying to achieve through social media. I'm not sure if we did actually quite achieve that this year, but it's something that we're definitely looking to get out of it moving forward. So just in terms of where we are online at the moment, we've got the Twitter stream, which I'm kind of hoping that everyone's following, but maybe I'm not. Who is following our Twitter? Okay, oh, shame on us. Changes. Expect everyone to get their phones out before following us by the end of the talk. So we're on Twitter. We also have our own website, which has a blog on there. We've got a Pinterest account and also a Facebook account, which is what's just tucked in there at the back. So I guess, I mean, it's quite interesting actually how successful or not some of those different things have been. But I'm going to talk mainly today about the Twitter and the blog, which is purely because they're the things that I worked on mostly. You can always chip in a bit with the other stuff if you like. So yeah, just to go through some of the stuff that's on the blog first of all. And we kind of launched our blog at the same time as we launched the festival formally in May last year, in 2014. Just setting out the vision for the festival, so there's a really nice vision piece on there from our director, and some pieces on there from our sponsors as well, the HRC and the British Academy. And just trying to develop a kind of a readership on there. We put on fortnightly posts over the summer with some curated content. I was trying to kind of get that to be a mixture of people who are organising the events for us, writing bits and pieces about what they're trying to achieve and how they see the festival and what they want to get out of it, and some curated content to do with broader issues in the humanities. So there's some stuff on there about open access and public engagement and various other things. So that was okay, and that gave us actually some content to work from the Twitter. So put up a blog and then tweet about it, and those two things kind of built each other up really. Then moving into September when we launched our programme, we ran a series of blog posts which we called programme snapshots, which were people doing kind of short Q&As, answering questions about what they were going to do. And then building up into the festival itself, went daily, being human daily. So we had end of day reports on what was happening across the country, which I wrote actually, which was really hard work. And also people sending us content. So I actually can show you on the blog itself. But it did become quite a nice kind of magazine style thing, with lots and lots of posts going up around the country. It actually became quite hard to keep up with it. So you have kind of people sending 2 or 3 things a day, and it's a lot of work for our small festival team to kind of keep on top of it. But it was fun as well, right? So that was the blog. I mean, the blog was quite hard work actually, I'd say. There's a lot of kind of chasing involved in kind of getting the blog posts in and then editing them and making sure that they were actually interesting, and then a lot of people wrote the same thing, and it was so I think this year we're going to be looking at kind of less is more with the blog. Looking at maybe doing a bit more kind of curated content and a bit less people just sending us kind of stuff that they think is good. We'll see how that goes. And then Twitter, so it's @BeingHumanFest. Those of you who are not following us already, please do. We used the hashtag BeingHuman14 last year, and I was working on this quite closely, so I'll probably go into more depth than it's required on this Twitter, but we stop I'm banging on. But we built it up to nearly 2,000 followers, which was pretty good. I mean, we're aiming for 1,000, so we exceeded our target. I mean, 2,000 followers actually isn't a lot on Twitter. I mean, I was kind of slightly despair when I look at Jeremy Clarkson's Twitter, which has got like 4 million followers, and he just tweets, you know, about pints that he's, you know, had and fights that he's had, people that he's punched, and it's slightly discouraging, but that is actually pretty good going, I think, for the first year of the festival. We're looking to essentially double that, I think, this year. And I'll just go through some of the ways that we built it up. We invested a lot of time into this. So for our launch in May, where we unveiled the people who've been successful in getting funding from us, we had a series of teasers. So that's one of them. This was for on the left there. This is an event that the London College of Fashion did. So we released a kind of a teaser about that and invited people to try and guess what it was. And you can see, obviously, from there it hasn't actually had much. It didn't have much engagement around that time, but we didn't have many followers. But what we were getting is people kind of following the festival. And stuff like that seemed to work quite well, actually, asking people open questions and being a bit playful. And then again, so following the same basic structure as the blogs, actually, moving towards the summer, we were putting stuff out around the blog posts, curated content again, kind of soliciting tweets and retweets. And we had our week structured so that we had a festival Friday, every Friday, where we were tweeting content about other festivals that were going on, other festivals that we liked, and obviously that gave us an opportunity to kind of make friends with other festivals. And we're always trying to kind of link that back to stuff that we were doing or stuff in the humanities. Again, yeah, this kind of, all these things kind of quietly just kind of bubbled away and increased our following. But what really pushed things up were the targeted campaigns that we did around our programme launch in September. So again, this comes back to me stealing other people's good ideas, actually. But we had 2 targeted campaigns, which were our Shelfies campaign and our Emoji Poems campaigns. Both of those got us a lot of followers. We also tweeted lots of interesting quotes and pictures, things, I guess, again from the humanities, but a bit light-hearted. So the Shelfies week, and this is where the hat picture comes in. I love that picture. So the idea behind the Shelfies thing, and actually it's not a new idea, it's something that I saw somebody else doing, but I stole it. instead of a selfie, the idea is for people to send us a shelfie, which is a picture of their bookshelf or research collection. Just working on the idea, obviously, again, this idea of kind of humanising the humanities and the people who are working in the humanities. Because obviously your shelf is it's actually a very personal thing, a very kind of human thing. And it says something about your personality, particularly if you kind of carefully curate it. So we invited people to send us a shelfie, and it really took off from people right around the country sending shelfies. We had shelfies from the Supreme Court, Mass Observation Archive, the HRC, British Academy, like loads of people. That wasn't entirely spontaneous, actually. It's kind of, it looks spontaneous when it's happening, and I guess if it's working well, it looks spontaneous and it looks like everyone's just sending in pictures. But actually, there's a lot of kind of legwork behind the scenes. I think, a good proportion of people who sent us stuff was kind of me emailing them or Unisa emailing them and saying, can you please send us a shelfie for Shelfies Week? Yes, that got us over 300 followers, so that was really good for us, and it did what it was supposed to do, and it looked great. But I guess what I'm saying is that there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff to kind of make that work, and it's actually quite labour intensive. So that is just a couple of the actual shelfies that we've got. That's the Supreme Court shelfie. The Supreme Court were doing an event for us, which is why they showed. This is one of the ones that we sent out as a kind of bait to get people interested. So we had to kind of tweet a lot ourselves to kind of keep the momentum going, keep people interested in that. Did anyone actually send? Did you send us one?
I did, but I was asked.
Did anyone send us a spontaneous shelfie? No. It's terrible.
There's still time.
Absolutely. So this is the second campaign that we ran in October, and this was linked into an event that was running in Birmingham, which was Simon Armitage doing a sort of poetry and translation masterclass. And we got 2 tickets to give away to that. So we were trying to think of something that would be like poetry and translation and fun on Twitter. So we came up with emoji poems. I think I'd seen this being done before. I think it was Penguin actually that I saw doing this, where they were translating book titles into emoji icons. So we were challenging people to translate poems, poetry titles, or lines from poems into emoji icons. So this is the winner. I don't think this is the winner. This is certainly one of the ones that I really liked anyway. Can you guess what it is? There's a bit of a clue in the people who've been copied into it in the hashtag.
Do not go gentle.
Gentle into that.
Yeah.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
Yeah, so it's do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. Which is just like genius.
Very sad, but awesome.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. So that was great. We had quite a few like that. So I think we did a bit of a mixture of kind of giving people lines to translate as a challenge, and then just inviting people to send their own stuff. I think, as I say, I think that was the winner. But it was really good, and I think that was a good example actually of us. I hope kind of hitting the right tone between being kind of playful and engaging, but also being a bit smart and a bit kind of inviting responses from the people who are following us. Because it just gave them something kind of geeky, but also fun to do. Having said that, it didn't work as well as Shelfies Week because we only got 150 followers out of that. But it was still good, and it was something that our kind of followers, I think, really sort of got into. So those were our two kind of campaigns that we ran to build up the following on Twitter. But I just wanted to show you a few things from the hashtag during the festival itself, because I think that's when it really came into its own, and it really kind of did what we wanted it to in terms of becoming a kind of meeting place for people to interact during the festival. So this is something that we did for our launch day here in the Senate House. So we had this is selfies actually, not shelfies, but we had a selfies corner. We just invited people to hold up a sign saying, "I love the humanities." And this is something that the University of Nottingham did, and this was an event which actually ran entirely on Twitter. So they did a 24-hour Twitter translation of Saturday night and Sunday morning on Zillow, which again seemed to kind of catch on. People were retweeting and all the rest of it. This is the people right up in Orkney tweeting about their exhibition, and people in Southampton tweeting about theirs. So again, just a sense of people coming together and finding space to interact and talk to each other online did start to work really well. This is where it sort of started to seem like we'd got the benefit of all the effort we put into kind of building Twitter up. So, what have we learned? What did we learn from the Twitter campaign? Well, we learned a lot, I think, and I think particularly I did. So, I mean, we learned that it's a lot of hard work to kind of maintain the momentum, the kind of attention. I think you have to kind of tweet a lot in order to not lose your audience, and that's quite labour intensive. And just to kind of come back to earth a bit as well, I mean, when we got the evaluation statistics back, we did see that only 4% of our audience had heard about the festival on Twitter. So there's still, by far, the kind of the best ways of engaging are still kind of print and traditional media, I think. But I think what did work really well is this idea of kind of creating a space, and a kind of an intellectual space as well as a kind of, sort of physical space of interaction for people to talk to each other and exchange ideas. And that goes back to the idea of kind of creating a community. And we did create a community online, I think. I think it's there and growing all the time, of kind of mostly young people who are working in the humanities in some form or another, who are kind of young, enthusiastic, a little bit geeky, but also who are kind of advocates for the humanities. And they're really useful people for us, obviously, to kind of join together into a community to sort of get behind the festival. And as I was saying at the start, I mean, in terms of trying out different tones for the festival, that's actually been one of the things which I found to be most useful in using Twitter for, just kind of finding the right, well, hopefully finding the right kind of mixture of kind of academic but engaging, fun, and smart, kind of playful and all the rest of it. I just found it a really useful kind of way of gauging that, because if you tweet and it just disappears into nothing, it doesn't pick up any kind of retweets or anything, it's quite a useful way of knowing that you're saying the wrong thing. So for this year's festival, we've tried to kind of alter our tone a little bit, be a bit more playful, a bit more confident, a little bit more, take on a little bit more of a campaigning tone, actually, in shaping what we do. So this is two of the newer tweets, again, both with pictures, just being a little bit more, a bit less stiff, I guess, and a bit more kind of trying to get people to feel like they're part of this community.